Hey everyone, this is Kelly Franks with In Search of Brains Creature Design. I wanted to take a moment to discuss what makes my masks special. They're made completely different. They're soft, they're pliable, they're comfortable to wear. And I'm going to show you kind of how I do that. Of course, I'm trying to maintain a little bit of industry secrets, you know. I am in my shop. Here I am. Hey guys. All right. Most people, when they make a burlap mask, they will take a plaster head form and then they will put burlap in latex and then drape the latex over the burlap or over the head form. And what that does, that forms a traditional, the traditional scarecrow mask. This is how most haunted houses, most mask makers, this is how they make their masks. You'll see here, this is what happens. And as you can see, there's a lot of exposed burlap on the inside. And in fact, I had to put some duct tape on the nose because it was rubbing my nose raw, walking around with it. Plus, you'll notice it's really stiff. When you wear it, these old scarecrow masks, if you have a good mask maker, they can make it a little more pliable. Most people will either wear a sock mask or they will pay the extra money to have someone line it. And you can do that. That's fine. That's what we've been doing for years. However, you know, I think there's a different way of doing it. I think there's a better way of doing it. This is the old way of making masks, making scarecrow masks. I'm going to show you a new way. And this new way is not only going to make a mask not uncomfortable, but will actually make it comfortable. What I do is I have a foam head form. I know, honestly, this is the scariest thing I have in my shop. But start with the foam head form, and you'll see that it's well used. I use just a regular head form and then sculpt my design using just foam. And on the back side, you'll see here where I've done a lot of carving. And I do that because I do a lot of carving. I end up having to cut into the mask a lot, into the head form a lot when making my masks. And using foam is just so much easier. All right, so here's what I do. I use this form to make this form. This is the inner liner that I have in every one of my masks. It may not look exactly like this, but it's the same idea, the same concept, same principle. It's usually made of burlap. If it's a scarecrow mask, it's made of burlap. If it's not a scarecrow mask, it's usually made of something else, such as a cotton or a felt. You'll notice I have nice big open eyes on the inside, big open nose, big open mouth, and holes for the ears. This form, if you will, I call it a shell. This shell is under all of my masks. If you take a look at my masks, all of them have that shell on the inside. Now, for some of them, I used burlap, and others, I used a different substance, different material, depending on what I was trying to go for that particular mask. An example is my newest mask, this fella right here. You'll look on the inside, and on the inside, you'll see the cotton liner. And then here's the shell. There you go. And then from there, I build the mask from the shell. That way, whenever you're wearing my mask, you're wearing one of these masks, you're not going to have any contact with what's on the outside. You're going to only have contact with that inner liner. Usually, again, cotton or a felt. Here's an example of another mask that I used a very lightweight shell. Again, I didn't use burlap for the inside of this shell. Instead, I used felt. And using this felt as the inner liner, it makes the mask very comfortable, very, very comfortable. And now, because I'll use felt, it's very lightweight. It's very flexible. Imagine running around your haunt, having to run from place to place, scaring your people. With this on versus this guy. This versus this. And you can now see why, the purpose of why I made In Search of Brains. Because a scarecrow mask should not have to be torture to wear. It should not be painful to wear. It should be a very comfortable experience because you're not worried about your mask when you're scaring people. You're worried about your positioning, your timing, making sure you don't knock anything over because it's all dark. And when you wear one of my masks, when you use one of my masks, I make sure that those things are taken care of, that you have big eyes, you have open mouth. By the way, this does have an open mouth. This one also has an open mouth on the inside. You can't see it, it's enclosed, but there it is. And you'll notice this particular mouth, I have a speaker fabric over the front to keep the fibers from coming in. This particular mask, I didn't need it because this burlap has been conditioned enough to where the fibers aren't going to be that bad. And you can see that it just has an open mouth. From this shell, I can also use different materials such as, instead of burlap, I can just use another layer of cotton. No, not the gauze, the actual skin. And if you do it correctly, if you do it with my techniques, then you can, for this particular one, this looks like skin. It looks like a leathery, or rough, leathery, pretty nasty skin. But the inside of it is fabric. In fact, this one is felt as well. So this one is felt both on the inside, and I used felt on the outside to give it that particular look. And you can see here, nice big open eyes, open mouth. This one is pretty much the shell, and I just added maybe just one more layer of fabric and then some texturing over just the shell. So that's all this one is just the shell. This mask is very lightweight, very flexible. It's not going to scratch you. It's not going to irritate you in any way. And you'll see here this one, and of course my newest ones also have that shell, which is this guy right here. On the back side, I don't have it on here, but on the back side of my masks, when I first started making masks, I had a guy from Colorado. Was it Colorado? No, he was from New Mexico. No, he was from Colorado. A fellow out at Field of Screams in Colorado. He bought a mask. It was actually a clown mask similar to this one. Now, I'm not a big fan of clowns or clown masks. I have a couple of them, but I'm not that into it. So you're not going to see a lot of clown masks with me. But he had a problem. He said he bought the mask. I sent the mask to him. And he said, I love the mask. I'm running around chasing people with a chainsaw. But the mask kept bouncing around on my head. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, it was a little bit loose. And I said, well, goodness gracious, you just tighten it. He says, I did. And I tightened it enough so much that it actually broke the bottom grommets. And I thought, wow, that's not good. That's my fault. And I should have thought about this ahead of time. Not everyone's head is the same size. So what I started doing is I started having now 2 rows of grommets. There is the inside, 1, 2, 3 on the inside, and this is going to be for most people. Most people are going to have this inner line, just these 6 grommets, and that's going to be your basic fit. You'll see here, that's just your basic fit. However, if you need a tighter fit, what you'll do then is you can use these outside 4, and instead of looping it inside, you'll just keep it on the outside and then bring it on the back, or do it backwards to where either way, don't loop it in the middle here. Don't cross it like I did. Just do it all the way across. And just do these 4. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow this mask to overlap and to create a tighter fit, especially if you're doing a lot of running around. My friend up in Colorado, he's running around with the chainsaw and a scarecrow mask because he's out in the field. And so if I should have already thought about this, I should have figured it out. A mask needs to be able to fit more people. So that way these grommets allow the mask to be adjustable for you. I don't know if anyone else does that. I know I do it, and most of my masks, if not all of my masks, has that. Some masks I do, I will add Velcro on the inside. I'm not a big fan of that, but if you do like the Velcro instead of the grommets, if you do special order a mask, then let me know, and I'll use Velcro instead of the grommets. It'll be a custom order, but that's okay. Once again, you'll notice inside lining. Because scarecrows all have straw, instead of just putting the straw on the inside and leaving it be, I try to cover the straw with fabric. I not only do this with my masks, but I also do this with my shirts. These shirts have not been distressed yet, so pardon me if they look too new to be a scarecrow. But on the inside, there's a piece of fabric on the inside that covers the wearer from any scrapes or irritation from the straw.